On Wednesday, August 1st, 2007, around the time of 6:05 p.m., the I-35W highway bridge that crosses the Mississippi River in Minneapolis, Minnesota collapsed. The bridge had 8 lanes and was 1,907 feet long. Out of that length, 1,000 feet of the deck truss failed. Approximately 456 feet of the main span fell 108 feet into 15-foot deep water. 13 people died, 145 people were injured, and 17 were recovered from the water.
Some of the main organizations involved were Swerve and Parcel Associates Incorporated. The firm was founded as Swerve and Parcel in April 1928 by Leah J. Swerve and John E. Parcel, a distinguished professor at the University of Minnesota. Swerve, a student of Parcel's and a Minnesota graduated in 1920, had been making a name for outstanding and thorough work at the Missouri Highway Department. The firm acquired in 1999 by Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated. The firm was the designer of the ill-fated I-35W Mississippi River Bridge, Minneapolis, Minnesota, which collapsed on August 1st, 2007. The design flaws were because of the failure of their quality control. Other organizations included Hulcon Incorporated Industrial Company, who were responsible for the construction of the bridge. The federal and state transportation officials, who paid inadequate attention to the gazette plates during inspection for conditions of distortion. Lastly, the National Transport Safety Board, who were responsible for the inspections done. After the collapse of the bridge, the National Transportation Safety Board posed recommendations to the Minnesota Department of Transportation to prevent similar failure occurrences.
The Safety Board found that the only documentation of any calculation for the gusset plate materials and thickness were unchecked computation sheets dated November 1963 to January 1964. An intern that worked with Surdrup and Parcel stated that he was responsible for calculating the number of rivets needed and the design of the rivets. He also stated that he was involved in the preliminary sizing of the thickness of the gusset plates, and this was half an inch after the Federal Highway Association told the Minnesota Department of Transport that the gusset plates need to be enlarged. No action was taken because in the final design the gusset plate thickness was still half of an inch. Very suspiciously, neither the Minnesota Department of Transport nor the engineering firm were able to locate the original calculations, which leads to questions of how, when, and where were the calculations done. On December 4, 1963, the Minnesota Department of Transport asked Surdrup and Parcel Associates to provide drawings of a typical layout because Surdrup provided no details or no design features or material selections for specific locations. On December 13, 1963, Surdrup and Parcel only sent a drawing of the U-12 node. According to the National Transportation Safety Board of Minnesota, it has been determined that the probable cause of the collapse was inadequate load capacity due to the design by Surdrup and Parcel and Associates Incorporated on the gusset plates at the U-10 nodes, which failed on a combination of substantial increases in the weight of the bridge from previous bridge modification, and also because of the traffic and concentrated construction loads on the bridge on the day of the collapse. Surdrup and Parcel's quality control procedures were completely flawed. There were no procedures to ensure that the appropriate main truss gusset plates were properly designed and calculated. The federal state transportation officials neglected to properly review crucial specifications on the final design of the bridge.
The Suggie and Parcel firm were very persistent. Even in difficult times, they kept their chins up and battled through the storm until they got back on their feet. The firm sacrificed their personal time and also resources to accomplish this. Furthermore, the firm portrayed several characteristics of sustainable principles. An example is that they kept their same employees even in times of downfall and struggle, which was also a company policy. Because the longer employees are employed in the company, is the more experience they would gain. They would have extensive product, systems, and process knowledge. Additionally, the Suggie and Parcel firm also displayed deficient principles. Suggie was very aggressive towards anyone that dared to challenge an opinion to something that he said or did. He believed that he should be in control of everything. With these forms of bad ethics, his engineers were very fearful of him and also wasn't able to work efficiently around him.
There were many elements contributing to the path of this disaster, some of which could either be rectified in the preliminary design or by adhering to safety practices which could help avert such a tragedy. Analysts and investigators concluded that though the causes were a critical part of the bridge construction, very little attention was focused on the gusset design, which led to the rapid deterioration and corrosion of the path. Despite the failure of the gusset, there were annual investigations conducted on the bridge where faults were observed, documented, and makeshift repair works was conducted, neglecting the safety factors and the risks which were at hand. For example, the independent researchers from the Minnesota University of Engineers deemed the bridge structurally deficient in 1993. Though other investigators made similar recommendations to the authorities, minor attention were given to their advice.
Few things could have done differently to avoid the I-35W bridge collapse, which are as follows. They should use different construction material to construct the bridge because the material used to construct the bridge was not able to withstand the weight of the bridge. After the construction of the bridge, a follow-up inspection should have conducted to check the actual weight. Gusset plates should be thicker, and independent review should be conducted on the design of the gusset plates to ensure that all calculations have been performed. The authority should have given more attention to the investigators' findings.
Has impacted me in the sense that when I become an engineer, I'll remember and make sure, and it's etched into me after studying all these disasters, especially the one in Minnesota, that our calculations as engineers are extremely important, and we can't just do whatever we feel like. We need to make sure it's absolutely correct. We need to check it over again and again. And not only that, but we need to listen to our superiors and those in authority. So when they say that something needs to be changed, it needs to be changed. And I also learned that it's very important to record what you do. So when you look back at it, or when other people want to study what you did, it's there and it's not lost somewhere.
I think I learned a lot of things from this disaster because it was very new to me, and this documentary, everything is like new experience in life. And I think I learned a lot of things from this disaster. And as a future engineer, we should like work very hardly because there is a big, like, we can make mistake every time. No one is perfect, so I think we should focus on our work. Yeah. This disaster was very trusting because we did a lot of work and a lot of search. So yeah, it's impacted me a lot, and it's new. It's totally new to me. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, it's had impact on me. I think this situation is a clear saying of a chain is as strong as its biggest link, not only in material but in any organization. I've learned to appreciate that equivalent attention should be paid to all aspects of my task at hand, now and even in my future. This study has strengthened my perspective on why it is important to adhere to regulations and not to prolong problems that should be rectified at an early stage. So I think it was a good case study and I'd like to do some more with it.
Hi there. What impacted me the most from the research done is that I think that the incident could have been prevented by a number of possibilities. For one, the miscalculation of Sudafed parcel. I think that what led to the miscalculation was that the company were receiving so much a huge contract that they were too overconfident. That's just my personal opinion of what I think what led to the miscalculation. I also think that the federal and the National Transport Safety Board could have prevented the incident if they had paid more careful attention to the distortion of the material and reported it immediately. What I've learned is that being an engineer is a huge responsibility, and any little mishap can cause innocent lives to be lost. And I do not want to be responsible for anyone's lives at risk, like putting their lives at risk. So I've learned a lot from the research. Thank you.
This project impacted me tremendously. I came to the understanding that there would be difficult decisions to make, whether it is in a company, firm, or an industry. And the decision you make will result in positivity or negativity. But with a correct ethical and value system, you would always be able to make the right decision.